we have just come to this point. It was an exploration round that we did. What are contributing to the challenges? External factors. It's geopolitical. It is or kind of COVID-like situation, chaos, AI, or kind of the generation or the inner situation that we are facing, and the conflicts are building up. Now, when such conflicts are there on a daily basis, and it is the part of the game. Now, how we are, and now again, one very important factor is a company is not agile by itself. Yeah, agree. Or a system is not agile by itself. It's the people. So how do we really prepare people? What could be the insight that as leaders we could share among us that to make a person totally adaptive? And again, I think one thing is very, very important, as Devi was pointing out, where are we really founded, which we cannot compromise, the values or the foundation or the core that we cannot compromise. So that is the real tension when leadership is facing a situation. So can we reflect on those aspects, how we really prepare our people? Secondly, what we are not ready to compromise, the real foundations.
So typically on a hybrid and also multi-generational mode, I will pick only these two for today. And of course, AI is changing their geopolitical tensions. Different industries are grappling with it differently. Maybe the chaos that is created by US and China, they know the real end game, so they're playing it all right. Hopefully. So to that extent, we don't have to be worried about it. So to that extent, in these hybrid and generational workforce, that we're navigating as leaders, especially that is technology companies, right? So to that extent, uh, you know, it is okay. Sometimes we realize as leaders that you keep explaining the core values or core, the why we are doing what we are doing, and what is the purpose of why we have all started off on this journey, and what is it that is changing over the time, but still bring it back to this is what we agreed, and these are the 4 things that we wanted to do, and therefore we are doing these, and keep recapping what is going on. That always helps. So I keep telling my team, and multiple years now, not just before COVID also, even though I may sound like a broken record, let me recap it. This is what is the company's value system, this is our vision, and this is why we are doing in our team, and this is exactly where we are in that journey, and this is how much we need to still cover, right? So unless we do that either once in a week, once in a that call,
a pause and look back,
and then
taking
people will
it
come back to that,
right.
Oh, this is how we agreed as an objective, right? So because it is not after some time the firefighting happens or the crisis gets created because people, instead of focusing on the objective, start focusing on colleagues or individuals, right? So we used to say, if there is a problem, don't look in the person, look in the process. Somewhere in the process there must be a flaw. It is not the individual, so don't blame the individual there, right? So let's go back, original status. Okay, this is how we started all of this. It is not because of you, it is not because of me, it is not because of her or whatever, right? So if you really bring that back as leaders, whether there are generations or whether there somebody is connecting remotely or somebody is sitting right across you on the table, people recognize, oh, this is what it is. So the common goal and the objective, I think that has to be restated without
right. So
being shy.
taking cue from that, so you have shared values. The organization have some shared values. So what is the purpose? I would say purpose led. It should be purpose led. It should integrity, transparency, openness. So compassion. That is taking care of each other. So these are some of the core values. If you have focus on that, I think, and I agree, to Devi, what you were saying is having that as your core, so which is in your DNA. Once that is there, I think, and the leaders will drive it. I think you take care of more or less everything.
People appreciate the work modules.
I take it forward in other way around, because during my long career in multiple companies, first 20 years I was an employee in different companies in different positions, and then last 17 years I'm an entrepreneur. So during the entire career, I used to say to people, so never think that you're indispensable, any level, up to director level. If things are happening in his absence, even when he's there on leave for 10, 15 days without his intervention, I always consider trying to reward him. Many people think that if he is not there, then the things are missing. Oh, agar ye nahi hota hai, to would have done this. But that is not. See, we are talking about heroism against the fragile. We need to understand, and again, I come with some examples as usual. In this very system, these are all silent killers. If you encourage the heroism, we definitely need hard hitters, Sachin Tendulkars and all, but we definitely need Rahul Dravids also. Otherwise, the team cannot win. This is very strongly, I believe. And systems should deliver performance, and people should deliver excellence. When it is reversed, you are in trouble, right? And I worked, as I told you, companies across continents where one key person holds that knowledge. This really troubles me in any organization. And when they're on leave, as I told you, the system passes for a while. And that's not the strength, that's a red flag. So this everyone has to understand. And within the pharma packaging, when you're talking about, there are a lot of layers of documentation, compliance, and everything. If that is going into the silo, complete with the opaqueness, the organization is going to collapse. The agility of tomorrow lies in removing single points of failure. And whether through cross training, this is more important. Phani told you need to look at the people. You have to learn, you have to respect people with each other. And we are talking about today, he is talking about texting on the mobile phones and the digital tools, and people are talking about voice commands. So we learned through texting, writing a piece of writing a piece. We always used to do it, writing a piece of paper. So it's in the next generation. So don't let your team always be a house of cards with one king holding it all. That I strongly believe. And as I always give example, Apollo 13's success failure is often romanticized, but the real takeaway is the fragility of a system that relied on real-time heroics. The crew survived due to brilliant improvisation, but NASA radically overhauled the systems afterwards to ensure the future missions would depending on miracles. So every time we cannot expect. So when heroism is your backup plan, your system is not ready. And NASA fixes that only after that Apollo 13 happening. So never depend on single heroism. And a real leader always is a leader. If things are going smoothly in his absence, he is a leader and he has to be rewarded. Right. Many organizations think that if the leader is absent for a while, for a month, or if the things are happening very, very good, people think that why you have to pay so much. So if the organizations go away from that thinking, I think they will go way forward. This is my personal view.
Yeah. No, I think, a question that I have, not that I have a clear answer on this, is, being rooted or being very fundamental about your values and all of that. I think all of this serves you till it doesn't. Right? So I think there's something to be said about just being fluid in your identity when you think about agility. At least in my experience, I'm seeing that sometimes what comes in the way of moving fast is this whole mindset that companies have about this is how we do stuff. And that's built on the whole cultural narrative and the values narrative and all of that. So I think you just have to recognize at an systems and org culture level that can't be a be all and end all goal. So how do you create an environment where people are not too strongly married to their identities as an organizational system, so that when the time comes and the market places a demand on you to change, you miss it because you're just too worried myopically, thinking this is who I am, this is how I do things, this is what I stand for. And somebody else who probably is not so rigid about how they identify themselves as an organization, that's important, right? Because think about it. I think it's not even futuristic, it's today. What is the definition of a product? What is the definition of a service? What is the definition of a business model? All of this is changed dramatically.
Right? Business model is going to change every 2 years.
What is Amazon? It's difficult today to articulate what business are they in. They're in everything, right?
So I think if it becomes a burden that you have to always, carry, and then
it's not
you resist. And
so I think this balance between and I understand, I mean, sometimes obviously HR can get passionate about it, and I see where they're coming from. But, this whole drive to drive a certain culture, values, this and that, how do you balance that with
That
saying,
balance is very
just be fluid, right?
that balance is very important. Yes, you were
Yeah, I
saying.
mean, at Sresta 24 Mantra, I mean, organization agility is very, very important. So while we work with the farmers, at the same time, we sell in urban India in 170 to 170 towns. So the entire structure, the hybrid model we talked about. So whereas we have 70% of my employees working virtually, when they work with farmers and when they go to stores. But here at HO, we have a different kind of a management system. The core values are very important, the core value holds the organization and the leader intact. Whereas when the change is inevitable, and I'm glad that is happening. I mean, the Bani and the VUCA is really driving a lot of good things out of the corporate world, and a lot of innovation is coming because of that. It's keeping us on our toes. Okay, otherwise, just the same thing, 5-year plan, 3-year plan. But now today, in months, weeks, a lot of changes are happening. So the whole funda is, the whole script is rewritten, and each generation is contributing to the workplace. Each generation has, right from age of 20 to the age of 60 plus. I mean, beautiful conversations, and they integrate very well when they drive the organization ahead. So that's the beauty of a leader driving all these heterogeneous different entities and time and all, and then taking the successful organization ahead. I think that's what it is.
I think outside in will also become, because you spoke specifically about leadership competencies. Outside in, I think, already is, and I think going forward will become an even bigger competency, right? So what percentage of the time would a leader spend bringing that external perspective versus working the nuts and bolts of the business? I mean, the popular joke in big pharma as an example, right? None of us are worried about other big pharmaceutical companies. We are worried about the 3-member startup sitting somewhere in Barcelona or California, who we know is going to come out with the next $1 billion idea. Right. And they're not even scientists. That's the best part.
Who
right?
they are and where
we don't know, right? It may be a 4-member small
Exactly.
biotech team somewhere. So we don't know. We don't even know today who's going to be our competitor, frankly. So I think that requires a little bit of a shift. Right?
So